Hey and welcome back. This video is about file paths. What is a file path and why do we need it? So once again, this is one of the very crucial concepts in terms of learning HTML. So this is also a very important video. So stick through, pay attention, focus on what I'm saying because it's going to be interesting. It's going to be incredibly helpful while you building bigger and bigger websites. All right, perfect. So once again, I have my empty index.html. If I open it, it's just going to be completely blank. I'm going to have my HTML document. I'm going to save it. Now, inside my folder on the left side, you can see that, I have a couple of images. I have 1.png, I have 2.png, I have 3.png, I have a cool.png, then I have a .html file, and also I have a video.mp4 file. All right. So now, as our project is growing bigger and bigger, we are going to include a lot more files. For example, if we are building a gallery of sorts, if I'm going to build a gallery of our fun party that we had last night, I would have hundreds and hundreds of images, right? Then out of these hundreds of images, it would become very difficult for me to search my index.html, or very difficult for me to manage my files. For example, even inside my folder, if I have party.html, course.html, oops, there it is. Make sure the ending is perfect, HTML. Next, random.html. Yeah. So just like that, we have 8 to 9 files in under one single project, right? Now, before we get confused about what these files are, what they do, or get into a big search frenzy in terms of where the file is, what we can do is we can arrange them in terms of folders. I know it's not a big revelation. So what we can do is we can arrange them in terms of folders. I know nothing earth-shattering, but what I'm going to show you why this matters. All right. So I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to say images, right? And I'm going to pick all my 4 images and I'm going to throw them into my images folder. Perfect. Now I'm going to also create another folder. In that folder, I'm going to say HTML. Let's rename it to HTML. And I'm going to take all my other HTML files except my index.html and I'm going to put them in my HTML folder, right? So my website is going to look something like this. It's a lot more organized, right? Perfect. So if I go into my index.html, this is where things get interesting. And now let's say all my favorite food, and I'm going to add my favorite food, right? I have the picture of tasty French fries, also some of the pizza sort of a thing, also leaves. This is not food, but it's still, all right? So all my favorite food. Now I'm going to add the name of my image, right? If I say cool.png now, which is the specs, if you remember, and save, and if I go back and if I refresh, we do not get that image. Why? The reason is, whenever I'm saying cool.png, my index.html is going to search inside this folder, right? So it's going to search inside the folder called as the website. I'm going to show it in the actual folder. All right. So we have the folder called as website, right? So in this, we have the index.html. So when I say cool.png, it's going to look for that file inside the folder website. But that file is inside the folder called as images. Now my HTML file does not have that much intelligence that it searches through all the folders and gets the file. So we have to tell it where it is. So inside the source, what I can do is I can say images / cool.png, and if I save and go back and refresh, there is my massive specs. So I'm going to give it a height attribute so that we can see 100, save, go back, refresh, there it is. All right. So the advantage of doing this is our website is a lot more organized, right? Wait, but things get a lot more trickier as we go further. Exactly that we are going to do the same exact thing for our anchor tags as well. For example, if I want to navigate to random.html, right? I have an anchor tag, goes to a random page. I'm going to say HTML / random.html. The reason being HTML is the name of the folder. I'm segregating the type of files in that specific folder, right? So if I save, go back, refresh, I have the link, which I click on it, it goes to HTML /random, right? that is a directory structure. Directory basically means folder structure that I'm going to use for my website. All right, this is going to be very, very critical, especially in terms of when you're building bigger websites, because when you have a lot of files, you're going to use them sort of in this particular nuanced way. All right, but if I go into my random.html or if I go into my party.html, and if I want to add the cool.png here, or if I want to add the one.png, the image of the tasty French fries here, how am I going to do that? I can say h1 tasty fries, all right, and now I can say image. Now I cannot say images slash one.png, and I'm going to explain you why not. So if I go into party.html, oops, yeah, if I have to go into html slash party.html, perfect. So I go into party.html and I have the heading, but I'm unable to see the image. But why? We even mentioned that it was inside the images folder. What's happening is HTML, the party.html file is now looking inside the HTML folder, basically the folder in which the HTML file exists. So it's searching for a folder called as images inside the HTML, right? But it's not there. So where is the folder? The folder is outside or a directory behind the directory which we are in right now. So we have to take a step further, we have to take a step back, and we have to go into images slash one.png. So we take a step back by using something called as dot slash. There it is. Now we have the list of all the files available. We can say images slash one.png, save, go back, there are our tasty fries. All right. So one more quick thing which I also want to point out is that, in terms of adding images, or in terms of adding the source attributes, just adding images slash cool.png is also fine, but also dot slash. Even this is also fine. Dot slash basically means look in this folder, right? I'm going to give you another example. Source is dot slash, and once again, when I say dot slash, it's going to give me a list of all the files available in that folder. I can say images, I can go select 2.jpg, save, go back to my index.html, and there is my image. Perfect. So that's how you kind of navigate in between files. I know it's a bit confusing, it takes a little while to get used to, but if you practice on a couple of websites, it's going to be a lot more easier. It's going to be kind of your second-hand knowledge. Perfect. So once again, just to recap what we learned in this quick little lecture. So if you have a lot of files, you can segregate them into folders, and if you want to access the files inside that folders, you can either say dot slash, or you can directly start off with the folder name slash that particular file. But if you want to take a step back, for example, if you want to, if you're in the party.html folder and if you're trying to access the file which is in the images folder, you have to say dot slash, which basically means take a step back, go outside this folder, look at all the other folders that are available, and inside a specific folder, in our case the images folder, pick the one.png, which is the, or one.jpg, which is the image of the tasty French fries. Perfect. So that's how you navigate between directories. I hope this was informational. I hope you learned something, because it's going to be very, very useful. We're going to use it a lot as we go ahead and create more websites. So make sure you practice it a couple of more times, and I'll see you in the next one.